vikaropi tarunaha sadhyate sukham vivruddhaha sadhyate krucharad sadhyo vapi jayate. The meaning of this is just as a tender plant, just as a small plant is easy to cut down, the same requires much more effort when the plant is fully grown. Likewise, any disease is manageable in the early stage and it becomes almost incurable when the disease grows. Now, this term I would like to apply to the industry scenario. In our industrial culture, any difficulty, any problem, by the time it is small, it is very much advisable to tackle with that problem by using different methodologies and different techniques. But as the problem grows, you and me, we know that it becomes then difficult and it is demanding great amount of effort also. So with this Sanskrit quote, I would like to draw your attention on our today's topic of interaction: process improvement during pandemic using Six Sigma. I believe that most of the members, they must be thinking that Six Sigma, now what is new in that? Right from 1980 onwards, the couple of industries, they started working in this area, and now it is almost down the line 30 plus years. So what is new in that? And I accept that it is a true thought. So I'm not going to claim that it is new thing, but whatever we are practicing, sometimes it is good to revisit what we are practicing or what we learned. Same is the case with in this title, process improvement. That also, it is a part of our day-to-day life. So nothing new in process improvement. Some people, they take it like that. They can take like that. And nothing new in Six Sigma. This also must be thought by a couple of people. But then what is new? New is this pandemic situation. Last almost, we can say, 1.5 year, more than that. This pandemic, this calamity, it has forced everyone's life in the world, and it has forced us to think for the different platform. But whatever is the situation, whatever the difficulty, human being basically, because we are applying brain, so everybody is looking for making things better. And when we say that making things better, so naturally, whether it is at home or at our professional field, it may be industry, it may be any organization, institution, service, or manufacturing. So that is how this learning of technique or revisiting of techniques and methodology during this pandemic, and how the different industries, they are looking at this for facing such situation. So that also we are going to touch upon. So okay, let us see now what is the agenda of today's our discussion. Pandemic situation, some problems which are faced by the industry, and some examples we are going to talk about, where the process improvement that has been done by a couple of sectors. Then process improvement methodologies already we know. So this only we will refresh, and we will go further. And a couple of industry examples we are going to talk about how the process improvement, it can achieve profit for the industry. As we are talking about this process improvement, and we are talking on one side that is about the pandemic situation. So let us see that what all problems industries are facing, and which industries they have struggled a lot for transformation of their activities from one platform to another platform. So here, if you look at on the left hand side, there is a list of activities. All these activities, these belong to institutions or the organizations, industries. which they experienced change in platform, change in technology, and giving sort of new input in the form of training to their employees. So quickly, if I go through education, as we know, online education is going on right from admission till placement. Automotive sector, a lot of activities those are going on online right from their corporate meetings, even the sales and marketing, and even after sales service also, they are attending their calls. Quality, internal, external audit, as well as management review meetings, those are being taken place online. IT, work from home, already we know. Hospitality, delivery at your doorstep, that also we know. Hotel industry, yes, parcel service. Spiritual, many people online they are practicing meditation, yoga, and many other such activities to come out from the stress level. Sports, yes, audience is joining for watching the sports activities online. Film and theater, couple of members they are trying for making fun events for the entertainment of the society. And hospital, in fact, we have experienced in peak corona time that the dispensaries and the doctors they used to give their services on call online. Now this is once these are the industries we know that because of the forced condition they shifted their platform, they struggled a lot. Now what is this struggle about? So mainly if you look at on the right hand side of this information, what we get is that right from following the all the rules and regulations which are given by government for keeping ourselves safe from COVID. So all the industries, all the business houses, they need to follow that. Money management, that is another difficulty which they faced. Going digital, changing platform, then safety of the people and the product, rethinking of supply chain. There is a drastic change in supply. See, supply chain, this activity also, majority of the industries, they must have experienced this. Employee issues are there. Then work with 50% of the workforce. That means with minimum manpower, they are supposed to deliver, they are supposed to give reply to their customers. So that was another challenge. And last but not the least, shortage of skilled labor. Because when we are saying that 50% manpower is working or 30% is working in the industry, so naturally all the people those will not be available for the work. So shortage that also these companies they have experienced. Now all these difficulties, it is very difficult. See, two times the difficulty it is appearing. All these difficulties, it is very difficult for any organization to tackle at the same time. So they need to decide upon the priority. Deciding upon the priority, first of all, they need to identify what is the problem, and there, this, even though we know this Six Sigma methodology, it has come and used by the industry nicely. This Six Sigma methodology, even though we know that 5 phases are there, and all these 5 phases, these are equally important when we talk about any situation, any problematic situation, how to tackle with the problem. So right from design phase, design, then measurement, it is taking place of the activity, analyzing whatever is the outcome of measurement, then going for the improvement, and finally, once the improvement is achieved, so control can be applied. So this is nothing new, but how the industries are coping with the current situation by applying couple of techniques and couple of tools from Six Sigma, that is what is the interesting area. And from that point of view, now what is given here that already we know. Maybe some of you can definitely share by typing Six Sigma rejection rate, how much it demands or how much it accepts. Rejection rate, how much it accepts. Maybe you can put that your answer in the chat box so that the involvement will be there, and rather we will also be happy to receive your answer. Sigma, it is a data-driven approach. And this data-driven approach, by using couple of tools and techniques, so that the business process, by reducing the likelihood or probability of happening couple of errors. And this Six Sigma technique, as we know, that 99.7%, that is the acceptance rate of any activity. It means what? Already you must have given answer, but per million opportunity is very low, and that is why this technique, it became very popular for the industry. However, we know this on one side. We know is that there are two methodologies. One is the DMAX cycle, and the other one is on the right hand side. What is given is DMADV. Difference between these two, or similarity between these two, is that first three phases, those are common. Means organization, institution need to define their problem. They need to find out the ways how the measurement can be taken place, because verbal solution or thinking and talking verbally in any situation, it is not going to help for the long time to find out the solution. And that is why measurement means finding out data for the problem which are identified, that is important. Then the third phase, which is common in between these two, that is analyze. But then what is the difference? In case of DMAX cycle, we know that improvement and control, these two phases are getting introduced, whereas in case of DMADV cycle, design and validation, it is taking place. And that is why in the industry also, most of the industries, they are looking at DMAC for the continuous improvement, whereas the industries are looking at DMADV as a re-engineering technique. Without taking much of time on this, rather quickly we will go through what is the DMAX cycle. Our Six Sigma, in most of the industries, when they are applying, industries are looking for a DMAX cycle to apply. Now, what is this DMAX cycle? So in define phase, it is expected that for the important project in the industry to look for the identification of the problems, identification of the need of the customers, and then according to the requirement, they need to find out the responsible team for that project execution. After defining, once the team is selected, identification of the problem is done, then companies or the industries, they are looking for the measurement. So here in case of measurement, gathering the data of the activity from the previous record, and then going for the prioritization of the difficulties which are faced by the industry, and then deciding or establishing the goal. Third phase which comes in picture, that is analyzing, because data is collected, problem is defined, and the team is working on data. So the next phase, it is coming analyzing. Now this analysis of data by using different tools and techniques, that will be carried out by the industry. After analysis, exactly what is the reason? What is the reason behind the problem which is being faced by the industry, that will come to know. And once it is known, then the improvement phase, it will come into the picture. In case of improvement, naturally, couple of solutions, those will be proposed. Solutions will be applied, those will be evaluated, and then implementation of the solution, that will be carried out. And once it is done, then for getting consistency in the result, for getting reliability and the credibility of the organization and the process, and the credibility of the owners of the process, control phase will be applied. That is how this DMAX cycle we run in the industry. As we are talking about this DMAX cycle, so naturally, couple of tools and techniques which are required to be used or which are going to be used and which are popular in the industry, those also we need to think upon. As we said at the define phase, customers expectation that is taken by the industry as the input. So voice of the customer, that is we can say one tool one can apply. Process mapping can be study of the detailed process. Multivariate analysis, because there are number of variables. Whenever we talk about any process, number of variables are going to come into the picture. So which variable to control, which variable is giving trouble to the process, that we need to identify. So multivariate analysis that will come. Then spaghetti diagram, that means basically the material flow or the movement, that diagram will come into the picture. Then 7QC tool, those are also popular. SPC and SQC, that is also there. And a couple of industries, they are applying regression technique and the analysis of variance or MANOVA and ANOVA. But this is not the only list, you can say. Beyond this also, there are many techniques and many tools, depending on what is the situation and what is the work culture in the industry, what is the product of the industry. Depending on that, the team has to decide which tool to apply. Now, we have seen that couple of tools and techniques, those can be applied, how the DMAX cycle is running. Now we have come to the point where we are going to see the case study, how couple of these techniques and couple of these tools, those are applied and used by the industry. So the first case study which we have taken for our today's interaction, that is a plumbing accessories provider. We are not saying it. We are not saying manufacturer. A plumbing accessories a distributor. This case study belongs to this kind of business. Now, what is this case study? So here, this distributor of the plumbing accessories, all the fittings and accessories, that distributor has experienced for almost about 18 months of time. And during these 18 months, they studied their problem thoroughly and they came out with the solution. Now, these 18 months, you take, that is the period of this pandemic. And we know the difficulties which are faced by the industry. So here, this distributor, what problem that distributor was facing, that is customer was not receiving well to this distributor. That means the demand, it was going on decreasing. Well received by the customer, that process, it was not happening. And the distributor, why it is happening. The define phase, when these people, they started working, first of all, they looked at the voice of the customer, and the voice of the customer, what they found is that customer is demanding prompt delivery of the product. The second point, what customer was looking for is the correct selection of the product. Customer was also looking for knowledgeable distribution team at the distributor's end. Now, after identifying this from the distributor end, they formed the team and they wanted to solve this requirement of the customer. Now, while doing that, merely by discussion and brainstorming, also it it is not going to happen in that way. The data, what it is showing, 56% of the time this distributor was taking compared to their competitors for the delivery of the product. And that means if for one particular product it is required for other competitor to deliver, naturally these people, they were taking almost about 1.5 days. So what they thought of, where they can cut down this, what is the reason for that, why it is happening, and that is how order this OFCT and cycle time. So they studied this order fulfillment cycle time, that is right from registration to delivery, and collection of data. They analyzed, the team of distributors, they analyzed, and they found out 4 potential causes why it is happening. Because the sales plan is not accurate. The second reason, it was not maintained, distributor end. Third reason, it was about the vendor performance for the delivery of the product. And the fourth cause, it was about the manufacturing schedule. And after studying these 4 these reasons, analysis for finding out the potential causes, and then with the help of this Pareto diagram, that is one of the 7 QC tool, what they realized, that 74% of the sales item, 4% of the sales volume, that is getting generated out of 21% of product which distributor was dealing. That means 21% product that used to bring 74% of the volume of sale. So that was a very great information to the distributor. They applied the improve phase. Now how to do that? The demand review meetings. Thereafter, the exact item what is required by the customer. So improvement, it took place, and finally in the control phase, what has happened? 21% of the product they started monitoring every year, and whenever the demand out of this 21% of the product, if any one of the item its demand is falling down, that will be replaced by another product with its code number, and that is how they started monitoring the entire their sale activity. And what has happened? Finally, the company could save their 4 full days time in delivery process, as the delivery it was taking place according to the requirement of the customer. They started supplying as per the specification all the items, stock of those 21% of the product. So the annual sale of the company, it shoot up 1,78,58,448 rupees. So by looking at this number and by looking at this couple of techniques, then they applied regression analysis. Then they talked about Pareto diagram, that means 7 QC tool. So what is takeaway from this case? Big or small? How many number of employees are working in the industry, and how much the gross revenue, or you can say how much is the sales volume of the company, it doesn't matter. Is whether small, big, or medium, they have process. And Six Sigma is absolutely, it is worth looking into it for study, and wherever we can apply. We'll now see the second forging industry.
Doctor, this is Sachin. Just a time check. We are,
It is
we're left
5
with 10 minutes.
Talk, and within next 10 minutes it will be over.
All right, thanks.
So in case of forging industry, this is another very good example. Actually, it is one of the Asia's largest forging company. You must have rather identified what is the name of the company, but they are into manufacturing of many forged components. Out of that, crankshaft is one. Being technical people, crankshaft is one of the most critical component to manufacture. Here, the journal diameter, pin diameter, gear end diameter need to have concentricity. All the diameter, those need to have the you can say straightness. So straightness and the concentricity, two parameters, those are not achieved, then naturally in quality, job accepted is very, very difficult. So the problem identified by the company is that after super finishing operation of this particular job, get rejected. The eccentricity and concentricity, again, these two terms are different. It is connected, its relation is with the axis of the job. Whereas concentricity, it is in between the two different. So here company was facing the problem of eccentricity. This problem during the same period of this pandemic, and they applied a couple of techniques. Out of that, voice of customer, YY technique, process flow chart, and the value stream mapping. So while looking at result, here on this slide, only we need to concentrate, we need to read only on 2 points. One is in the operation number 1, it is talking about mass centering. 9, that is both end centering. Process, that operation, it was not involved. After heat treatment, company used to go straight away for the finishing grinding operation. They thought of again the study of process mapping, study of process flow chart, and what is the achievement that company could introduce by introducing one more centering operation after heat treatment. Positive result. Criticality, again here, point number 3, 4, and 5, these are important, which are shown in red color. And journal diameter to the level of 7 micron, expecting its tolerance limit. Precision is required to that level. Straightness also, it is to the level of 5 microns, and the cylindricity by the customer to the level of 8 microns. So when we are working in such close tolerance zone, naturally, if anything goes wrong in the process, and the rejection rate before analyzing, it was 18%, but after introducing that new operation, the rejection rate nil. Monthly supply of these crankshafts to one of the customer of the company, it was 1500 pieces. According to 18%, almost 270 components they used to take them aside, but now it has stopped. And what is the saving for this particular component? 49,250 rupees. They could figure into profit. So again, the takeaway from this particular case study, that Six Sigma we can apply to any process. The first example, it was about the manufacturing industry. Now this third example from the automotive industry. It is in plastic molding operation. The major supplier to the big automotive companies like Tata Motors and many other automobile companies. So the problem identified during this pandemic process, it was about, as the number of skilled labor, it was less. Most of the time, the machine was also down. Machines were down, and jigs and fixtures, those were not in use. So maintenance, that was the difficulty, which, because if the maintenance is not there, they found in one of the component that the flashes, those are coming on the parting edge of the plastic component. And why this flash is coming? To go behind this study is, as one of the press machine, they found that it was again and again giving trouble. So like this, small problem they identified on that with the couple of tools. Because flash is coming, that customer. So voice of the customer, that was the input. They did it. They found the team. Root cause analysis they have done, and then YY technique. So by looking at this couple of dies and molds, you will rather you and me, we know very well, unless we maintain all these, there are a couple of relations in between the dimensions. And whenever we talk about the locators and many other pins, such kind of supporting tools, those need to be maintained. That was the requirement of the company. For this maintenance, company thought that definitely replacement of the worn out parts, that can be possible. This regular preventive maintenance, they thought of like wear and tear and the corrective action that can be taken place with the with all these supporting tools. So if you look at this, when we were talking about the maintenance of the mold, why it is required? Because that one of the component is facing of problem, flash on the edge of the plastic component. They applied this cause and effect analysis method, material, and the tooling. They took for further study. They found direction with the correct input. But in case of only tooling, what they found, that in case of couple of tools, those are getting damaged, or those are damaged, and that is why the plastic component. So that is how the issue, they try to go deeper end of all these components to study man, machine, material. That is one technique they applied. And the other one, that one of the press machine, it was giving trouble at the time of production operation, that this YY technique. And at the end of this YY analysis, what they found, that if the machine is getting stopped, is it because of overload? Okay. If the overload is there, is it because of the insufficient oil of the on the shaft of the machine? Okay. If that is the reason, then why insufficient oil? Whether the oil pump is not efficiently working, and if it is not working efficiently, what is the reason? Because the shaft is worn out of the pump, worn out. Then why it is worn out? Because the reason they found that oil filter is blocked. So the result of all this, we could achieve that the idle time of the machine, whenever there was a changeover in the operation, molds or dies also for making them ready, company used to take good amount of time, almost 16 hours. It was 2,000 rupees. So total cost saved by the company 32,000 rupees per machine. And like this, company machines. So again, this amount for that company, it is considerable, 4 lakhs 48,000. So this is, you can say, it is saving out of their activity, finally got converted into profit. So again, the takeaway is same, that one of the technique or couple of techniques is very much applicable in all such cases. By looking at all these three case studies, we have come down to the what reward we are going to get by applying this Six Sigma. One is the increased value to the customer. Customer's voice we are listening. So customer is becoming happy and they are responding confidently to the manufacturer. Improved reliability and better predictability of the product as well as service. Then the number of defects are getting reduced. Is changing their mindset and they are getting lifted to the platform of and process application. And finally, one can say that all these advantages, those are after converting into one, you can say it is a competitive advantage to the industry. Okay, to summarize, want to take number of projects based on number of difficulties. Yes, you will come to know one project at one time. That means for every small project, there has to be a separate responsible team. Good project selection, it is going to lead to the greater financial impact. Implementation of any one of the tool, that is not a magic. Some work it has to go into it. Smart work as well as hard work. Some bottlenecks and difficulties, those are going to come along with that till the time we get result. And as we know that Six Sigma is a part of continuous improvement, so it is a journey. One author, he has rather one great person, he has said, Andrew Bro, very rightly, and it is applicable to our personal life as well as to the professional life. Is a living organism. Even our family also one can take as like an organization. A corporation is a living organism to shed its skin. Methods have to change, focus has to change, values also, those are required to change, and the sum of all this, that is nothing but transformation. With these wordings, I have come to the almost end of our today's interaction. Already he has told that this vertical, that is center of excellence of business excellence, this vertical, it is going to work in giving help in improving the processes, methodologies, methods and techniques for the industry. Platform provided by PMA. And yes, by looking at time, but it is 8:20. The floor is open for the question and answer.
Thank you, Doctor. I hope I am audible to the participants. Am I? Sachinji or Pradeepji can answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, great. So thank you, Dr. Junarkar, for taking us through the case studies, because I think that was of the primary interest for the audience, because like you said in the beginning, Six Sigma as a process methodology is already known to people, but it was very important to know how it is applied to the real world and how it can really help us to solve the real world problems, right? So it was not intended to make the participants a green belt or black belts, but the idea was to really provide the overview of the methodology and how it is applicable to manufacturing and non-manufacturing processes. um, like you mentioned, the distribution business was a non-manufacturing process where it was applied. And then just for the benefit of audience, let me tell that you must have heard a lot of tools that were used in the process of improvement. And we plan to have a series of sessions talking more about each of those tools, and we plan to select some simple yet very popular and powerful tools, and how they are applied and how we can address problems or get the benefits by using those tools. And that is what we are planning in the days to come as a part of the vertical on the process management or process improvement. So please look forward for those events. We will be covering those in the next sessions, which we will plan in the next coming days. In the meanwhile, there was a question from Supriya Naik ma'am, and she was asking whether this can be applied to HR, whether Six Sigma as improvement methodology can be applied to HR. And like I mentioned, and it was discussed with the case of distribution, but even for HR, let me explain. So it is actually applicable to any process. So any process which has a sequence of operations or steps which are involved, which has certain inputs and which has certain outputs. So the whole idea of the process improvement is to really identify which are the outputs of the process which are critical for the customer, and which are the inputs which need to be controlled, which are impacting the output of the process, right? So we can apply the Six Sigma techniques in the recruitment, in the performance management process in HR, in the separation process for that matter, or say benefits and compensation. So we need to identify which process we are addressing, what are the inputs and outputs to the process, who are the customers, what is critical to quality for those customers, and then we map the process, identify what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and then accordingly using tools we can reduce variation and provide the the deliverables. So that is what I would answer. I'm not sure if Nitin has any ready case
Huh.
in HR area. If you have HR any area case, Nitin, you can talk about it, or we'll be happy to help and
Uh, yes, rather I would like to share one of my experience. Supriya madam, what happened actually in HR, we applied a couple of tools for the study of psychology of the employees working in the industry. A couple of tools from Six Sigma we applied for studying psychology at different age. At the time of recruitment, company is recruiting youngsters. So at the age of 25-30, what is the kind of thinking those people, when they work in the industry, what is the kind of thinking they have? Around 40 to 50, how the thinking it changes. And those who are at the verge of retirement, we have ample opportunities wherever the process is involved. Definitely we can apply recruitment. That is one process in HR. Training is another process in HR. Then deciding upon the increments and the promotional aspect, that is another the process in HR. Welfare of the employees, that is another process. So like that, the processes, those can be studied, and for process we can very well apply.
Right. I mean, it can be applied to even simple things like, from my experience, just for the sake of audience knowledge, I worked in Cummins, and we have done Six Sigma projects in all the functions and all the domains. And one of the projects that was completed in HR was improving the attendance, right, in one particular area of the shop floor. And then we could identify what are the reasons for specific reasons for the attendance, weak attendance in certain areas, and then what are the steps that need to be taken. Like you mentioned, Doctor, even for the training process, right? So training effectiveness is one of the output area that people are really interested in, and we always collect a lot of information about the training output. But how to improve on the effectiveness of the trainings based on the customer feedbacks or the participants feedback is also something that can be done in the training process. So there are ample opportunities we can apply that.
Sachin, any other question from audience?
That was the only question that we had. Are there any other questions? You can unmute yourself. Can they unmute themselves, Dr. Pradeep? Yeah, you can type in your questions, or you can unmute your mics and you can ask questions directly.
See, what is important here to understand is that sometimes revisiting to our knowledge, revisiting to that knowledge domain, that is also giving us a different meaning. Every time perception will be different, our reading also will be different, and the outcome also we are going to get. From that point of view, those who are working in such area, you will find that this is the opportunity, or such kind of opportunity you can take to revisit and tools which can be applied in your professional work.
Great. So we are getting to the closure of the session, unless anyone has any question. Are there any more questions?
Sachin, Nandakumar here.
Yeah,
Dr. Junarkar, this one question,
Yes,
generally people, I'm also in training, people are asking this question to all quality professionals, that whenever there is a problem, whether we should use Six Sigma or whether we should go for simple root cause analysis. So how we can answer this?
See, the kind of tool like cause and effect analysis, rather we all people, those who are learned and those who are having the knowledge of their professional activity, we are applying, or we are looking for the simple technique to apply. And all these tools, cause and effect, or maybe you can talk about the simple like correlation between couple of variables, or you can say this Pareto diagram, maybe scatter diagram. So such simple tools, those are nothing but those are supporting to improve. Is getting improved, the rejection rate, it is going to come down. And that is what is nothing but finally we are looking at like Pandharpur, means Six Sigma. I believe that
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
if you permit, I can add. Six Sigma. Generally, people have a perception that Six Sigma is all about statistics, analysis of variance, design of experiments. It's very difficult. It takes longer time to solve the problems. But that's not the reality. Six Sigma never asks us to use a screwdriver in place of hammer or hammer in place of screwdriver. So we have to use the right tools, and if you get the results